Well, this is live from New Delhi. You're watching DT India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Sakal Bhatin, coming up in the next hour. Central Syrian city Hama falls to Islamist-led rebels. President Bashar al-Assad loyalist forces pull back just days after losing Aleppo. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol braces impeachment while major defense pact between North Korea and Russia comes into force. In a shocking development, Central Bank of Bangladesh prints new currency notes without the image of former Bangladeshi President Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Russian President Putin praises India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's India First policy and hails Make in India initiative, expresses Russia's willingness to set up manufacturing operations in India. And India's space agency ISRO successfully launches two Probha 3 mission satellites of the European Space Agency from Sriharikota for groundbreaking solar research. Russian President Vladimir Putin has praised Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's India First policy and Make in India initiative. President Putin also lauded the Indian government and its efforts in creating a stable conditions for small and medium-sized enterprises or SMEs, stressing that investments in India are profitable. President Putin also highlighted Russia's willingness to set up manufacturing operations in India. In fact, the Russian President Putin has praised Prime Minister at various occasions in the past too. Here's a detailed report.
Thanks for this opportunity.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's India First policy and the Make in India initiative are getting worldwide appreciation. Latest words of praise came from Russian President Vladimir Putin, who said that India's Make in India initiative has played a key role in strengthening India's position in the global economy. Speaking at the 15th VTB Russia Calling Investment Forum, Putin also emphasized that India's leadership has focused on prioritizing its national interests.
Prime Minister Modi has a similar program, Make in India, and this is a very similar program to ours, and we would be ready to place our manufacturing sites in India. Also, the biggest investment in the Indian economy to the tune of $20 billion by Rosneft happened not long ago, and the Prime Minister of India and the government of India have been creating stable conditions, and this is because the Indian leadership has been pursuing India comes first policy, and we believe that investments in India are profitable.
Referring to the investment platform Russia is developing with BRICS, President Putin said it has the potential to benefit all partner countries. The Russian president has praised Prime Minister Modi in the past too. In November this year, while addressing the Valdai Discussion Club in Sochi, Putin described India as a great country and added that Moscow and New Delhi were boosting cooperation in all areas.
India must certainly be included among the great powers. 1.5 billion people, the highest rate of economic growth among major economies, culture so ancient and so on, and the outlook, a very good growth prospect.
While on 22nd October 2024, during the 16th BRICS summit in Russia, Russian President Putin hailed his friendship with Prime Minister Modi. In July this year itself, Russian President Putin hailed Prime Minister Modi and his dedication towards India during their private meeting at the former's residence. In December last year, Russian President Vladimir Putin praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi, stating that the Indian PM takes a tough stance in protecting the interests of the people in the country. While in October last year, praising Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Russian President Vladimir Putin said he is a very wise man, adding that India is making great strides in development under his leadership. The Make in India initiative stands as a testament to India's determination to reshape its manufacturing landscape and enhance its global standing. With strategic reforms, investment-friendly policies, and a strong focus on infrastructure development, the initiative has significantly enhanced India's industrial capabilities. Fusail Ahmed's report for DD India.
Kuwait's foreign minister has called India a very important partner and praised Prime Minister Modi, saying that the West Asian nation believes that the Indian leader is one of the wisest persons in the world. Abdullah Ali Al-Yahaha is in India on an official visit that aims to strengthen the multifaceted relationship between the two countries. Well, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has welcomed King and Queen of Bhutan in New Delhi. Leaders held discussions and agreed to remain committed for advancing a unique partnership between the two nations, that is India and Bhutan. Here's more.
India and Bhutan, two nations bound by more than just geographical proximity, share a relationship deeply rooted in friendship and trust. This bond was further strengthened due to the recent visit of Bhutan's King Jigme Khesar Namgyel Wangchuk and Queen Jitsin Pema Wangchuk in New Delhi, hosted by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday. Prime Minister and the King expressed satisfaction over the excellent state of bilateral relations encompassing development cooperation, clean energy partnership, trade and investment, space and technology cooperation, and people-to-people ties. They reaffirmed their commitment to further strengthening this exemplary partnership across all sectors. The leaders reviewed the progress in enhancing economic connectivity between the two countries and exchanged ideas on the Gilefu Mindfulness City initiative, a visionary project spearheaded by Bhutan to catalyze development and strengthen linkages with adjoining border areas in India. Prime Minister reiterated India's strong commitment to the economic development in Bhutan, highlighting the doubling of India's development support to Bhutan for its 13th five-year plan period. Bhutan King expressed gratitude to the Prime Minister and the people of India for steadfast support of Bhutan's aspiration for happiness, progress and prosperity. This high-level meeting underscored the tradition of frequent exchanges between India and Bhutan, an enduring testament to the mutual trust, cooperation and profound understanding that define their bilateral relations. Prime Minister Modi fondly recalled the exceptional warmth and hospitality extended to him during his state visit to Bhutan in March 2024, a reflection of the close ties between the two nations. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also called on the King of Bhutan. Their discussions highlighted the steady progress in the Indian-Bhutan partnership. Tripta Tripathi for DD India.
Well, opposition continued to disrupt the proceedings in both houses of the Indian Parliament on day 9. Even before the House assembled, opposition led by the Congress party staged a protest march against a business conglomerate wearing black jackets, even though other major parties from the opposition stayed away. Vishal Baristo has more.
Holding placards and shouting slogans, the leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi led a protest march. He was accompanied by Congress MP from Wayanad, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. Though other parties from the opposition bloc like the Trinamool Congress and Samajwadi Party skipped participating in it. The protest was taken very seriously as the Parliamentary Affairs Minister accused the opposition, mainly the Congress, for creating disruptions.
I am very upset with the way in which the opposition parties have behaved. Why is this particular action, what we saw today, is being conducted by the Congress party and their allies? Why they are disrupting the proceedings of the House and creating drama outside, running around the Parliament building? Is it the way to conduct the House?
In the upper house, pandemonium scenes were witnessed as the opposition accused the chair of letting BJP MP Sudhanshu Trivedi speak beyond the stipulated time. Trivedi was referring to a report by a French publication targeting India. The chair rebuked the opposition and said that the nations should stand united against any conspiracy.
We cannot allow largest democracy to be made dysfunctional by deep state anywhere else. This House should be united in neutralizing any trend, any initiative that is pernicious, dangerous to our sovereignty. I allow Sudhanshu Trivedi to continue.
On Thursday, Bharatiya Vayuvan Vidayak 2024 bill was passed in the upper house. Speaking on the bill, the aviation minister said that India's Udan scheme has been a success story. The minister stressed that Modi government wants to promote the aviation industry as it is directly connected with tourism and economy.
Under the leadership of Modi ji, aviation is not just looked upon as how many. I also agree to a certain point that it's not about just the numbers. Numbers I'm giving to show you a picture on how much progress we have made. But if you look at the true sense on why we want to promote aviation, why we want to make it one of the best sectors in the country, in the whole world, because when we talk about aviation, we talk about tourism. When we talk about aviation, we talk about economic activity.
The lower house had to be adjourned for the day due to repeated ruckus created by the opposition. Congress was protesting against permission denied to the leader Rahul Gandhi for a visit to Sambal on Wednesday. With Anil Thomas in Delhi, Vishal Baristow's report for DD India.
In other news, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal addressed the Prasar Bharati at 100 Summit in New Delhi on Thursday. The theme of the summit was fueling Bharat global rise, aligned with the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat and driving the Make in India for the World campaign. The minister highlighted the importance of MSMEs in supporting large industries and emphasized the government's efforts to simplify processes and promote ease of doing businesses for MSMEs.
The country is evolving itself as we move along to try and make it easier to do business, try and simplify processes, reduce compliance burden, decriminalize the laws. All of these will be enablers which will help not only the MSMEs but all of us. And at the end of the day, as we do steps towards ease of doing business, those steps automatically lead to ease of living for all of us.
Speaking at the event, Minister Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, said that US President-elect Trump had a positive political view of India that would likely continue in his second term as well.
We'll have to work out also a political equation with America. And that, I think, is one area where we score because, we've always had a positive political relationship with Trump. And, I would say this, Trump has always had also a positive political view of India. It will not automatically translate into every transaction. Like everybody else, we may also have some issues. We will deal with those issues. But I would say when I look around the world today, there are countries who actually have, they are looking at the Trump 2.0 as a political challenge. We are not. And I think that separates us from a very large number of countries. So we are in a much more advantageous position to translate 2.0 into a deeper relationship.
President of India, Draupadi Murmu, attended the 40th convocation ceremony of the Odisha University of Agriculture and Technology in Bhubaneswar on Thursday. Addressing the ceremony, President Murmu said that climate change-related issues such as rising temperatures and greenhouse gases are affecting agricultural production. Agricultural scientists have an important responsibility to deal with all such issues. In fact, President Murmu is on a 5-day visit to Odisha for various official programs. She is scheduled to inaugurate the new judicial court complex in Bhubaneswar also during this visit. Well, still to come on DD India News Hour. Coming up next, these are the big stories. Israel maintains a chance to strike a hostage deal with Hamas. We get you details on the other side. And China warns United States against crossing red line on Taiwan, a veiled threat.
We are doing a youth dialogue on Indian foreign policy with 30 outstanding, most talented young people from various colleges and universities across India.
The youth bulge in our country is more interested in knowing about what is going on in the world.
We need to see where our interest lies, be it in economic sphere or the soft power diplomacy, trade and other negotiations, also strategic balancing.
What S. Jaishankar actually brought to the table was, as Foreign Secretary as well as the Foreign Affairs Minister, the strategic clarity that India has.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Geopolitics.
You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Sakal Bhatt, and now let's move on to some ground situation in Syria, where reportedly Syria's army has acknowledged that it had lost control of the strategic central city of Hama for the first time since war broke out in 2011 amid a lightning rebel offensive. This marks a second major gain for a newly formed rebel coalition that also captured Aleppo last week. Aleppo, remember, is Syria's second largest city, which was captured last week by rebel groups after a surprise offensive overran President Bashar al-Assad's forces and allied militias as well. Meanwhile, the Syrian rebels have released the video that you see on your screens showing military vehicles inside Hama. The offensive has been a major setback for Assad and his backers in Iran and Russia, and has reignited a civil war that had been largely dormant for years. Meanwhile, Syrian air defenses shot down 2 enemy drones over Damascus on Thursday, state news agency Sana reported, citing a military source. Syrian rebel leader Abu Muhammad al-Jalani has said that there will be no revenge after his Islamist group seized the Syrian city of Hama, where government forces crushed an uprising in 1982.
I ask God Almighty that it be a conquest with no revenge. I announce the fighters had entered Hama to cleanse the wound that has endured in Syria for 40 years.
Video shows residents cheering the rebels. Meanwhile, China's embassy sent an urgent notice advising its citizens to leave Syria as soon as possible as Islamist-led rebel forces continue their offensive against President Bashar al-Assad's troops. And as we stay with these videos and visuals, for more updates, my colleague Amritpal Singh, who's been tracking this story very closely, joins us from the newsroom. Amrit, over to you. What more do we know? I mean, it is definitely a very big setback for Assad, but a major breakthrough for the coalition front?
Yes, the rebels are marching south, and rapidly so. After they seized Aleppo last week, now they have the Hama, which is strategically located because, highways crisscross through that. Once they consolidate Hama, there is a redeployment of the Syrian forces outside Hama, because the fight for Hama had been going on for the past 2 days in the villages surrounding Hama, and now that they've broken into the city, seized it and pushed the Syrian forces out, they would be regrouping and getting backups from rebels who are who have deployment up north. So they plan, it looks like that the strategy is to push as south as they can. The next big city en route to Damascus is Homs.
Okay.
If they take Homs, that could prove to be the proverbial tilting point for Bashar al-Assad. Right now, with Aleppo and Hama gone, there is a significant loss to the Assad forces. But still he manages to control most of the territory of Syria, though it's a civil war which has been a protracted civil war which has been going on for so long. But if Homs falls, then the situation could turn, and then President Assad's regime could come into serious trouble. So, in that sense, the capturing of Hama is important. Sakal.
President Assad and his forces and allies will definitely retaliate, assuming that Syria is actually on the brink once again of a massive civil war, the way things are going.
With Syria, the problem is that there is a Shia or an Alawite regime in place. President Bashar al-Assad, his father, who was a former Air Force pilot, became the president there, and then his son Bashar al-Assad took over the regime. though it is a broadly secular regime, but the population there, especially in the northern areas, is largely Sunni. So that's why you see, the celebrations, the kind of celebrations and the kind of statements coming out of the rebel camp saying that there would be no revenge, and people cheering because there is a Sunni dispensation or a Sunni, these fighters are basically Sunni fighters. There is, yes, a civil war going on. Some attribute it to President Assad's dictatorial policies, his strict control on the regime, the falling economic situation there, etc. But yes, there is a civil strife to it. There is a sectarian nature to the conflict. So we'll have to see how this develops. But if it engulfs, say if they reach the center of the country, then as I said, it could change, it could tilt the scales really.
Yeah, so if the consolidation of the rebels coalition happened this time, it's not going to really augur well with Syria in large. Like Amrit, how do you see the situation unfolding?
Okay, the threat, that's a good question, Sakal. The threat, Middle East or West Asia is already in a lot of crisis because of the Hamas Israel conflict, which spilled over to Lebanon, though there is a ceasefire in place right now. But, you're sitting on a ticking bomb there.
Yeah.
All these countries, if you look at the geography, are just next to each other. So the situation could easily spiral into a regional conflict. Now, with the American change of guard, we don't know what Donald Trump's policies would be towards Israel, but the noises coming out of his camp are that he's going to side very stridently with the Israelis. Now, with a volatile situation, with a political turmoil going on in the other region, it could, and Russia and China clearly taking sides, especially Russia launching airstrikes, it could become a full-blown regional conflict with multifaceted regional conflict, which threatens, to blow out into all-out situation between the world powers. When the world is facing two wars, one in Europe, the other in West Asia, it cannot have it, further escalating it further. So therefore, that fear looms large. But as I said, that's still some distance away because Bashar al-Assad still controls most of Syria. It remains to be seen whether the Syrian forces can stop the onslaught. Will the battle lines be frozen where they are, or will the rebels be able to progress further if they feel they have a sizable part of Syria? And then I think there will be a strong retaliation and which could snowball into a full-fledged regional conflict.
All right, Amritpal, many thanks for joining us live on this very, very important story. Thank you. And now from Syria, let's just shift our focus to Israel-Palestine, where Israel has maintained that there is still a chance to strike a hostage deal with Hamas. In the midst of this raging conflict, India asserts that its relationship with Israel is based on the country's interests. Here's more on the developments.
The Israel-Hamas conflict has entered a crucial phase and possible breakthrough, with Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz saying that Israel had pressured Hamas to the extent that a hostage deal with the Iranian-backed group might be possible. Speaking to soldiers at an Air Force base in central Israel, Katz said that due to increasing military pressure, there is a chance that this time we will really be able to advance a hostage deal.
There is a chance that this time we will really be able to advance a hostage deal, and we are working on this matter and see this goes before our eyes. Of course, in future, Hamas cannot control Gaza. This is absolutely clear because of what has happened and because of what may happen.
Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced in a statement on Wednesday that the body of a hostage had been recovered from the Gaza Strip. 38-year-old Itai Swarsky was kidnapped during Hamas's surprise attack, and his body was recovered in an operation by the Shin Bet Internal Security Agency, aided by the military. In the midst of all these developments, during the question hour in India's upper house of parliament, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar asserted that India's relations with Israel is based on the country's interests.
Where Israel is concerned, it is a country with which we have a strong record of cooperation in national security. It is also a country that has stood by us at different moments when our national security was under threat. So when we take any decision, we will bear in mind, obviously, the larger circumstances, but we will definitely be driven by our national interest in this matter.
India's External Affairs Minister also said that India gives importance to relations with Palestine and supports its status as a separate nation.
We support a two-state solution, and we have been public and unambiguous about that. So I think there should be no cause for confusion regarding two-state solution.
Meanwhile, the Israeli military continues its operation to neutralize Hamas from the Gaza Strip. With shells crashing near residential areas, families left their homes and headed westward towards the nearby humanitarian designated area of Al-Mawasi. Bureau Report, DD India.
Moving on, President of Taiwan Lai Ching-te held a telephonic conversation with US House Speaker Mike Johnson on Thursday. The call came when President Lai is on a trip to Pacific nations. It has included stops in Guam and Hawaii, but China on Thursday warned the United States not to cross the first red line when it came to Taiwan's independence. China considers democratically governed Taiwan its own territory and has condemned the United States for allowing Lai to transit its territory. However, President Lai rejects China's so-called sovereignty claims. Shifting focus to Bangladesh, in a major development, Central Bank of Bangladesh is printing now new currency notes without the image of former Bangladesh President Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Currently, currency notes of all denominations have an image of Rahman. According to Bangladesh Bank, the banknotes of Taka 20, the denomination of Taka 20, 100, 500 and 1000 are being printed with religious structures, Bengali traditions and graffiti drawn during the July uprising. The new notes are expected to be released in the market within the next 6 months. The officials concerned of the Central Bank and the Ministry of Finance say the image of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman will be removed from the current notes. The release added that the design of the 4 notes is being changed first, and the design of all types of banknotes will be redesigned in phases. Well, now let's take a look at the other stories making news around the world. A ground collapse at the Xinjiang railway construction site in Shenzhen in China on Wednesday has left 13 workers missing. Rescue operations are underway and authorities are investigating the cause of the incident. A gunman opened fire at a California kindergarten on Wednesday and wounded 2 children before taking his own life. The 2 wounded boys were in critical condition at a trauma center. Further investigation indicated that the attack appeared to target the school due to its affiliation with the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Werner Hartl, a German artist, is using cow dung to create artwork to address his love for the powers of nature and animals. Inspired by the nature, his art includes paintings of beautiful landscapes and farm animals. He expresses concern about the diminishing farm landscape and the impact of industrial farming on Bavarian culture. And tens of thousands are expected to attend France's Lyon famous Magic Lights Festival on Thursday to watch Louis XIV statues turning into Christmas snowballs. Celebrating its 25th anniversary, the organizers brought back 6 of the most emblematic artworks of the past 25 years. And still to come on DD India News Hour, the big story on the other side. South Korean president braces for impeachment while North Korean president pledges support for Russia's sovereignty as a military pact comes into force. ISRO launches Europa's Proba 3 satellite. And Supreme Court has permitted lifting of GRAP 4 in Delhi.
We are doing a youth dialogue on Indian foreign policy with 30 outstanding, most talented young people from various colleges and universities across India.
The youth bulge in our country is more interested in knowing about what is going on in the world.
We need to see where our interest lies, be it in economic sphere or the soft power diplomacy, trade and other negotiations, also strategic balancing.
What S. Jaishankar actually brought to the table was, as Foreign Secretary as well as the Foreign Affairs Minister, the strategic clarity that India has.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and before we move on, let's do a quick recap of the top stories we're tracking at this hour. Central Syrian city Hama falls to Islamist-led rebels. President Bashar al-Assad loyalist forces pull back just after losing Aleppo. South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol braces for impeachment while major defense pact between North Korea and Russia comes into force. And in a shocking development, Central Bank of Bangladesh prints new currency notes without the image of former Bangladesh President Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Russian President Vladimir Putin praises Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi's India's first policy and hails Make in India initiative. President Putin expresses Russia's willingness to set up manufacturing operations in India. Well, South Korea's ruling People Power Party has decided to oppose moves to impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol over his sudden decision on declaring martial law, while South Korean opposition lawmakers have formally already introduced a motion to impeach Yoon over the decision that unleashed almost 6 hours of political chaos in South Korea a few days ago. And as South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol braces for the impeachment, North Korean President Kim Jong-un has reaffirmed its army's support to Russia's policy to defend its sovereignty with comprehensive strategic partnership treaty coming into effect. Moscow's aid to Pyongyang's nuclear efforts and vice versa, or if there is a quid pro quo between the two, can potentially unleash a dangerous precedent and some uncomfortable questions also. I get you more details in the report that follows. Amid a storm of political turmoil and diplomatic fallout, South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol braces up for an impeachment vote on Saturday. President Yeol has accepted the resignation of Defense Minister Kim Yong-hoon, seen as a central figure in Yoon's dramatic declaration of martial law on Tuesday. In a first official move post-withdrawal of martial law decree, President Yeol also nominated the ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Choi Young-yuk, as new defense minister, as per the presidential office. Meanwhile, trouble seems to be mounting for President Yoon as prosecutors have opened an investigation along with his interior minister and now the former defense minister over their roles in an attempt to impose martial law. Kim Jong-un also faces a travel ban as prosecutors investigate. As South Korea grabbed global headlines for martial law decree by its current president and the events that followed, the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Treaty agreed by the leaders of North Korea and Russia in June came into force on Wednesday. It involves exchange of ratification instruments in Moscow. The treaty was signed during Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to Pyongyang in June and a summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un, and includes a mutual defense pact for immediate military assistance if either faces armed aggression. It may be noted that Pyongyang's escalating involvement in the conflict in Ukraine resulted with more than 10,000 North Korean troops deployed to fight with Russia, reportedly. Moscow's aid to Pyongyang's nuclear efforts could pose an underlying threat to global security. The timings of it, with South Korea still grappling with martial law meltdown, makes the development highly significant. Sakal Bhatt's report for DD India. To discuss the ramifications of these developments in North and South Korea, we are joined by Ambassador C. Rajashekhar. He's a former senior diplomat joining us. Namaste, sir, from National Capital, New Delhi. Thank you, sir. To begin with, Ambassador Rajashekhar, according to you, President Yeol's exit, do you think that looks imminent? His allies have deserted him. They continue to desert him following the announcement on Tuesday. There also seems to be a massive consolidation of support for impeachment, including his own people. I'm talking about the population there. Opposition lawmakers have also defied the martial law declaration, swiftly voting to reject it. So is it just a matter of time?
Yeah, I think you will see it by 7 p.m. Saturday, Korean Standard Time. the impeachment would be put to vote. So that is less than 48 hours, 2 days from now, we will come to see. What I suppose is that, intense negotiations are going on behind the scene, because it is not a simple binary impeachment or no impeachment. I suppose about impeachment, the die is cast. There is no way that the president can survive.
Okay.
Only thing is how to mitigate the fallout. There are enormous implications for the ruling party.
Okay.
Because as of now, if elections are held, the opposition will likely win. So they would like to have a narrative convenient for them. And also, in the process, would like to see that the end is a little more pleasant for the incumbent president.
Okay.
Because if the president is stripped of his immunity, then he can face criminal charges of treason.
Okay.
So they're all, I think, will be negotiated, both political, personal issues.
So the next question.
Saturday evening, we will have the picture.
Yes. Having said that, Ambassador, what next? Who takes over? And also, did he not see it coming? There were already tensions between President Yoon Suk and his political opponents, something which had already reached a boiling point this week. And it came a long time confidant of Yoon who actually recommended imposing martial law. And by the way, it seems that it's endgame for his ex-defense minister and the former interior minister also.
Yes. It was, with hindsight, it clearly was a mistake. It's a political mistake. Say at that level, highest political level, there is hardly any room for mistakes. It's not a clerical mistake, but it's not highest level to impose martial law and to suspend political activity and impose media controls. Is a very serious matter in a rather developed country like Korea. So the fallout had to be expected. What next? In case the National Assembly passes by 200 out of 300. Presently, the last motion to lift martial law was passed by 190 members present. So they need 10 more votes, whereas they have 192 of the party, the Democratic Alliance. So they need 8 more votes from President's People's Power Party. But going by the mood of the nation and the impact on the image, on the economic implications, all things considered, I suppose National Assembly will be more inclined to pass the impeachment with the requisite 2/3, 200 out of 300.
Okay. So this is about South Korea. Ambassador Rajashekhar, now the other development, do you find the other development worrying? North Korea's, I don't know whether the timing of the treaty coming into force is a coincidence or it was designed in such a manner, the timings and intent, where North Korea has renewed its pledge and support to support Russia's sovereignty. This is something, or do you think it's a very concerning situation for the world or international community at large?
It is indeed, as you said, coincidence, ittefaq. Because at that time of North Korea and Russia entering into that agreement, these political implications were not conceived, that martial law and these things. This is a purely internal political development in Seoul. However, the North Korea will always be a factor in the minds of the South Korean political leadership. We don't want to be seen to be divided politically, facing North Korea, and now North Korea plus Russia kind of. So that also will not be helpful for the incumbent.
Okay. Reactions continue to come, including NATO. You think this is going to snowball into a bigger issue in coming times, considering the Ukraine-Russia war is on, and now suddenly there is this renewed nuke threat staring at the rest of the world?
Yes, that's why we see that all the institutions and the people of South Korea have an expression of solidarity. They had maintained calm they have managed to bring the country back from catastrophe, that martial law has been lifted. It's now the matter of detail that, how the president's exit will be.
Okay, Ambassador Rajshekhar, one last question. Any direct or indirect implications as far as the change of guard / political fluidity or uncertainty or a martial law meltdown in South Korea is concerned, and upping the ante by Russia and North Korea in in that situation? Do you think there could be some impact on the situation in South Korea?
If South Korea turns towards dictatorship, yes, but going by the present indications, there won't be much of any implication for relations with India, because there is complete consensus among the South Korean leadership across the political spectrum about the merits of maintaining friendly, cooperative, strategic friendship with India. So therefore, we can expect stable growth and development of friendship and cooperation.
Okay. My question was actually the upping of ante as far as North Korea and Russia is concerned on the war front, and the developing political situation in South Korea. Do you think there can be some impact?
There, so we are in a very sweet spot, because India is among the few countries which maintain good relations with North Korea also.
Yes.
And also, just now we have, earlier, a few moments ago, you said how Russian leadership also appreciates Indian policy conduct.
Absolutely.
So we are in a very sweet spot, geopolitically. So we don't need to much rush while we observe the developments closely.
All right, we'll leave it there. Many thanks, Ambassador Rajshekhar, for discussing and examining the developing situation in North Korea, Russia, as well as South Korea. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now let's move on to some other international developments. The 31st Ministerial Council of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe took place in Malta. Western countries, including the United States, assailed Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov of the war in Ukraine on Thursday. At the meeting, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken accused Russia's Foreign Minister Lavrov for escalation in Ukraine.
Now, I regret that our colleague, Mr. Lavrov, has left the room, not giving the courtesy to listen to us as we listen to him. And of course, our Russian colleague is very adept at drowning listeners in a tsunami of misinformation. So I won't parse everything that he said, but I will just note two things. First, he speaks of the indivisibility of security. That's right, but it cannot be and must not be a one-way street. Good for Russia, but not Ukraine. But let's not fool ourselves. And let's not allow him or anyone else to fool us. This is not about, and has never been about, Russia's security. This is about Mr. Putin's imperial project to erase Ukraine from the map.
Indian Space Research Organisation, or ISRO, has successfully launched Europe's Proba 3 satellites into Earth's orbit. Now, this groundbreaking mission is a collaboration between ISRO and the European Space Agency. The mission aims to demonstrate advanced formation flying technologies with two satellites, the Coronagraph spacecraft and the Occulta spacecraft. These satellites will work in tandem to create artificial solar eclipse, allowing scientists to study the sun's corona without interference from its bright disk. The Proba 3 mission is a significant collaboration, marking the first satellite launch between the two agencies since 2001.
The PSLV C-59 Proba 3 mission is successfully accomplished. The spacecraft has been placed in the right orbit, which is a very highly elliptical orbit of almost 600 kilometer perigee. That's the closest point to Earth, and 60,000 kilometers at its apogee, the farthest point, and an inclination of 59 degrees. It has been precisely achieved by PSLV in its 61st mission. So congratulations to the entire PSLV project team as well as for Proba team. And we wish all the very best to Proba for their further operations and achieving the mission goals. Congratulations to both the teams.
Well, the Supreme Court of India has allowed lifting of GRAP 4 curbs in Delhi NCR region on Thursday. However, it has instructed authorities to implement GRAP 2 measures. The decision came as the national capital witnessed an improvement in air quality in past few days. Now, what is GRAP? GRAP, or Graded Response Action Plan, actually measures, are the measures that are in place to tackle air pollution in the region, and in this case, national capital Delhi. And still to come on DT India News Hour. Coming up next, the prices of Bitcoin hit a record high on Thursday. We get you more. And we also get you the Game 9 of the World Chess Championship ending in a draw. Details on the other side.
We are doing a youth dialogue on Indian foreign policy with 30 outstanding, most talented young people from various colleges and universities across India.
The youth bulge in our country is more interested in knowing about what is going on in the world.
We need to see where our interest lies, be it in economic sphere or the soft power diplomacy, trade and other negotiations, also strategic balancing.
What S. Jaishankar actually brought to the table was, as Foreign Secretary as well as the Foreign Affairs Minister, the strategic clarity that India has.
You're watching DT India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and now let's move on. The Government of India launched the auction for 27 coal blocks across various states of the country on Thursday. India's Minister of Coal and Mines, G. Kishan Reddy, launched the 11th round of commercial coal mine auctions in Delhi. The auction offers 27 coal blocks distributed across the state of Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Arunachal Pradesh, and include both fully explored and partially explored mines, including one coking coal mine. The auction is expected to boost domestic coal production to meet energy requirements, promote regional economic growth and create employment opportunities.
भारत में कोल शॉर्टेज अभी नहीं है, जितने भी पावर सेक्टर में हो, स्टील सेक्टर में हो और सीमेंट सेक्टर में भी जितने भी कोल चाहिए उतना कोल हम सप्लाई कर रहे हैं। जो डिमांड है, डिमांड को हम पूरा सप्लाई कर रहे हैं। इसके लिए आने वाले दिन में ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा और प्रोडक्शन करने का हम अलग अलग इनिशिएटिव्स आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का आदेश पर हम भारत सरकार के जो कोल मिनिस्ट्री और जितने भी हमारा पीएसयूज के साथ साथ जो कैप्टिव माइंस है, कमर्शियल माइंस है, हम सब मिलकर कोल प्रोडक्शन कर रहे हैं।
Shifting focus to Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka's government presented a vote on account in Parliament allocating 1,400 billion Lankan rupees to sustain public expenditure for the first 4 months of 2025. And this measure was necessitated as there was not enough time to prepare the annual budget following Parliament's dissolution in September and snap elections. The vote on account ensures funding for essential services, ongoing projects, debt servicing and restructuring until the 2025 appropriation bill is presented in January next year. From neighbouring Sri Lanka to neighbouring Nepal, where the Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli returned Kathmandu after a 4-day official visit to China. During the visit, Nepal and China signed 9 pacts. The agreement on the Belt and Road Initiative was signed in Beijing. The pact on mutual assistance was also inked. Well, Bitcoin has risen above 100,000 US dollars for the first time on Thursday as election of Republican Donald Trump as President of the United States spurred expectations that his administration will create a friendly regulatory environment for cryptocurrencies. Trump on Wednesday said he would nominate lawyer Paul Atkins to run the Securities and Exchange Commission, which would be relief for Wall Street and crypto industry. Bitcoin has more than doubled in value this year and is up about 45% in the 4 weeks since Trump's sweeping election victory, and more than 16 years after his creation, Bitcoin appears on the cusp of mainstream acceptance. Well, according to Swiss report, natural disasters have caused $310 billion in global economic losses in 2024, marking a 6% increase from 2023. Insured losses swelled by 17% year-on-year to $135 billion, driven by hurricane in the US and severe flooding in Europe. And this is the fifth consecutive year insured losses have exceeded $100 billion. Swiss re-attributed the rising cost to urban value concentration, economic growth and higher rebuilding expenses. The report also highlighted the severe impacts of climate change, with 2024 on track to be the hottest year ever recorded. World Soil Day is observed in Nepal by organizing various programs, and the day was marked with a series of informative and engaging programs emphasizing the importance of soil conservation. Organized by the Nepal Agricultural Research Council, the Department of Agriculture, the National Soil Science Research Center, the Nepal Soil Society and the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center, the event aimed to raise awareness about the urgent need to protect the country's valuable soil resources. On to chess, and for the sixth time in a row, world champion Ding Liren and D. Gukesh played out a draw at the World Chess Championships. After the ninth game, both players head into the third rest day of the championship level on 4.5 points each. There are 5 more games left before tie breaks, which will be played in the rapid format. Out of the 9 games played, 6 have ended in a draw, with Liren securing victory in the opening game and Gukesh of India winning the third game. The first player to reach 7.5 points will win the title. And the newly elected chairman of the International Cricket Council, Jay Shah, began his tenure this week with a visit to the ICC headquarters in Dubai. During his visit to the ICC headquarters, Shah met with board of directors to discuss his vision for the future of cricket. He also met with ICC staff and engaged with the ICC's media right partners at the annual broadcast workshop hosted in Dubai. These interactions offered a big stage to discuss strategies, strengthening partnerships and discuss the sport's future. Well, India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platform. Now, Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Well, those of you on the go can also get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on your screen to download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Sakal Bhatt from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.